What's going on, folks? Welcome to another episode. So today we're going to be breaking down FAMU and Albany State. So actually, something interesting about this is these two. This is their first meeting since 1993, and the ironic thing, as fate would have it, is according to some sources, back in 1993, it was raining that day, and I don't know what's going on in Tallahassee, but what's going on here is it's raining. So I've heard from some folks the forecast called for rain. So I mean, I just find it kind of ironic that almost 3 decades later, it's raining and Albany State's coming to town. So yeah, we'll talk about that. How does the weather affect today's game? I know it affected my keys to victory for FAMU today. Um, as well too, we're gonna just talk about what do you need to do to not look like the 0-26 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think all of us are wondering about that. Um, you know, is a run still possible? Everything such as that. You know, we're going to talk about all of that today, of course. So don't go anywhere. The intro's next, as well. Always, like I say, like, share, subscribe. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. Feel free to drop your scores for today's game in the comment section. When we come back, I'm also going to update you about a couple of games going on around college football and stuff. A couple of games to look forward to. The game that's actually going on, I want to say about 30 minutes for me here in Daytona between Bethune-Cookman and South Carolina State. I'll update you on that. But yeah, get comfortable. If you're on your way to the game, crank up the volume just a little bit louder. Let's go. All right. So first order of business. So like I promised that I'd read off the scores. So of course, as we all know right now, like I'm currently seeing Tennessee's beating Pitt 21-17. Feel like at this point, Tennessee might be getting ready to take control of that game. I think we all know about the SEC's dominance. South Carolina State, Bethune-Cookman, 30 minutes away from me. They're currently in a weather delay. If you are in Atlanta, actually, ironically, this game between FAMU and Albany State can be seen on CW and plus the HBCU Go app. So thankfully, I downloaded that in the off season, so we'll be able to see it. Other scores too, or other games: Jackson State and Tennessee State tonight at 7, Southern and LSU at 7:30. That is actually going to have 200,000 people in Baton Rouge for that game, plus on top of the already sold out crowd that's going to be there tonight. So this is a very big deal in Baton Rouge. As well too, Florida and Kentucky tonight. Alabama edged out Texas, and I didn't get to see the whole thing of that, so I have to watch the highlights and everything. But let's go ahead and get into the reason why we're all here. So yeah, FAMU and Albany State. So last week, I think we all know, FAMU did their best impression of the 0-26 1976-1977 Tampa Bay Bucks, losing 59-3. And then Albany State last week, they got gashed by a Mississippi College team, but they won 28-14. So with that, worst conference loss of the Willie Simmons era, as shows, as well too. This is your worst FCS loss since losing 57-3 against, I believe it was 57-3 against Hampton in 06. Coach Simmons vowed that, we would never see a team this unprepared again. I hope he's right. I have faith in him. I I want to believe. I still think that 9-2 is possible, and it has to start today. You can't come out and take this for granted. Um, and we're going to do a little bit of math, and it's not going to be good math. In the last 3 games, FAMU's been outscored 153-41. As far as total yards goes, and this you're going to get pissed off with this probably. 503 total yards against Southeastern Louisiana. Gave up 608 total yards to UNC. Gave up 471 total yards to Jackson State last week. All total in the last 3 games, you've given up 1,582 total yards. We have a comment. I get where he's going. That's so messed up, man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. That wasn't FAMU that showed up. That was literally Richard Batman Wood and then $76 because they didn't tackle well. They made up for it by not blocking well. So there you have it. Yeah, I'm oh my God, let me stop. But yeah, pitiful. I know it is pitiful, the amount of yards that has been given up total in the last 3 games after ending the regular season last year on such a high note. And then, you turn the ball over 4 times against Jackson State. You only had 34 total yards rushing against Jackson State. 56 in total is what you had the week prior against UNC. You're still in position to run the table. You still are in position to run the table. College football, chaos always happens. You never know what could happen in front of you. You can only control what you can control. You're still looking for wide receiver number 2, in my opinion. I don't know if that's going to come in the form of Darian Oxendine or if that's going to come in the form of Javonte Davis. Who knows? I don't know. The other thing, too, is we're still wondering who's back and who's not. I know for a fact, and I think everybody knows now, Eric Horn, still wondering if he's back. Still wondering if Jordan Moore is going to play today. Not sure. Well, in my opinion, we'll find out when the ball's kicked off or in warm-ups. I know they're probably going through warm-ups right about now. Yeah, they're going through warm-ups right now. So we'll see. I can't make any promises on who's back and who's not. For Albany State, as I stated last week, you won a 2-touchdown game against Mississippi College. They went 10-2 last year. They made the NCAA playoffs, the D2 NCAA playoffs. This is a good team. Do not take them lightly. As well, too, they scrimmaged FAMU in 2020. Willie Simmons mentioned that on his show earlier this week on Wednesday night. They surrendered 386 total yards of offense. 322 of those yards came on the ground. And this is why I say it might be a blessing in disguise that it is raining at Bragg, or that it's supposedly raining at Bragg, because you have a team that got gashed by a wing T offense in Mississippi College. You have the line in front of you, and you have a stable of backs capable of running you to victory. Take advantage of the elements and run the ball. Run the ball. That's literally it. Because Mississippi College's offensive line fired off the ball early on. Lead rusher had 121 yards for Mississippi College. They had, for Albany State, you had 350 total yards of offense. 189 of these yards came rushing. They are a run-first team. They pride themselves on rushing the ball. So we may see whoever can take control of the game running the ball more today is the team that will likely have the most success. 161 of those yards were passing. They present with a base 3-4, or at least they did prior to realizing, oh my God, this is what Mississippi College wants to do. They're running a wing T offense, so we better switch it up. They had to adjust, and so to say. They have a tandem of running backs that combined for 187 yards. They're a pretty balanced offense, considering the fact that they went 189 rushing, 161 passing. So with that, as far as players to watch goes, Jeremy Musa, last week, of course, 11 of 27, 202 yards. I still don't know. I understand the guy played bad, but I don't see the need to, call for call for the bench, although I think it kind of solidified itself last week too, as far as who needs to start. Um, Terrell Jennings last week, 9 carries, 30 yards. Xavier Smith, 4 receptions, 26 yards last week. Darian Oxendine, the leading receiver in the clubhouse, 1 reception, 32 yards. BJ Bowler, 3 total tackles. Isaiah Land, 1 sack. Yeah. Not good. That wasn't good at all. So for Albany State last week, the numbers are much better. Deontay Bonillo, 13 of 22, 161 yards, 1 TD passing. Marquise Fulks, 16 carries, 115 yards, 1 TD. Cam Ward, 12 carries. Then this is that tandem of backs I was telling you about. Marquise Fulks and Cam Ward, 12 carries, 172 yards, 1 TD. Their leading wide receiver in the clubhouse, Joe Shorter, 2 receptions, 72 yards, 1 TD. And then Rashad Jordan, who was right behind him, the second leading receiver, 4 receptions, 35 yards. And then you had Stephen Pierre, 9 solo tackles, 11 total, 1 sack. He is the do-it-all defensive back in that backfield. So now for the questions regarding this game. For Albany State, I'll start first. What will they take away from Jackson State in this film? Look, what they're going to take away from Jackson State in this film is the fact that what did Shadur do last week? He took what the offense gave him. Or not, he took what the defense gave him. My fault. Woo. Yeah, he took what the defense gave him, and he gashed FAMU. And also, too, they took advantage of the fact that FAMU did not bring pressure, and they were able to just go to town and have their way. Now, with the elements playing a factor, and if it is still raining in Tallahassee, we got a comment. I need to see FAMU play with some motivation today. Play pissed off. Yeah, no, that's exactly what needs to happen. That is exactly what needs to happen. You have to come out firing. Like I said, this is a game where the elements literally can work in your favor, because for a lot of us, we had all been saying, run the ball, establish the run to set up the pass. I think depending on how hard it is raining in Tallahassee right now, those elements are going to force you to have to run the ball. So if it's raining hard, you're going to have to run it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If it's like a slight drizzle, I'd still say run it, but then you can run it to set up the pass. And hopefully, I trust that the receivers have trained enough in a monsoon. I mean, this is Florida to, make plays in the rain. Plus the added bonus of if it is raining not that hard, but just like a slight drizzle, the field is slippery. And plus the fact you play on turf, it's like playing on ice in most aspects. Defensive backs don't know where you're going, in a sense. So advantage wide receiver in this case, the only thing I'd say is, be mindful of your footing when you plant to run routes and everything. That's the only thing I would say. But advantage wide receiver in that case, if you are going to throw it, depending on how hard it's raining. But how vulnerable is their front seven? Again, look, they got gashed for 386 yards. Their front seven is very vulnerable. Again, take nothing away from them. They made the NCAA playoffs last year for the D2 level. So you still got to, come in here, respect them. But I'd say by all means, attack them and go right at them. I think the elements should work to our advantage since we have the edge in the trenches and large running backs. Oh, yeah, exactly. You have what, 3 running backs in the stable, 4 running backs in the stable that you could use. Plus, I think we're still hoping to get some guys back as well, too. So you want to be able to establish the run and just go to work. What some folks probably didn't know, Albany State plays fairly well in the rain. This will be a very good game. We'll see. They pride themselves on running the ball. So, advantage does work. That is an advantage when it comes to playing in the rain. So, we'll see. I'm not sure if they play. This could make or break the team. Yeah. No, oh, yeah, it could. It really could. This is a game that you have to have. I know a lot of us were saying that about Mike Norvell in Florida State last week when they were playing LSU. That was a game Mike Norvell needed for the season and to honestly cool off his hot seat. This is a game that you need for a morale boost. You have to get one in the win column. This, honestly, you can't be satisfied if this game ends close. You have to just, in my opinion, you need to go out there and you need to take it from them early. Take it from them right away. You hit them in the mouth from the opening kickoff to the last whistle. Don't let up. What else we got here? See, how are they on special teams? Question remains to be seen. From what I saw against Mississippi College, they're all right on special teams. They're all right. How confident are they after seeing the film? If I'm them, I'm very confident. I'm looking my chops. I cannot wait to get off the bus and play this game if I'm Albany State, because not only knowing history, they've won the last 2 times they've played FAMU, but they see what we all see. They've seen FAMU get gashed for over 1,000 yards in the last 3 games. They're going to take full advantage of what they see on film. So there's that. Now for FAMU, why is it vital for the defense to find a groove? And I think, honestly, the elements will play a role in this. You need to learn to swarm, because, honestly, again, that was a terrible display of tackling last week that we all saw. So in a game like this, you need to tackle well. Why is that? Because it's already slippery. You so much as slip one missed tackle away, that can go the distance. So you need to tackle well today in order to get guys to the ground collectively as a group. No reaching. You got to bring your arms and wrap. Get them to the ground. Will we see Musa find a rhythm? I wanted to say yes. You could let Musa do what he does, but if it's raining as hard as it's possibly going to be raining, Musa may just have to use his legs today in a read option type of look, and as well to just hand it off to his backs. But that, again, that's depending on how hard it's raining. So not sure. We'll see. How critical is it for a fast start on both sides? Again, like I just said a few seconds ago, start fast, take it away from them early. Again, like someone just said in the comment section, Albany State plays fairly well in the rain. You got to be willing to overcome that, and you got to be willing to overcome the mental aspect of it, knowing that, okay, we've lost 2 games. Let's not press too hard and make a mistake. That's another thing to actually avoid. Don't press too hard and make mistakes, because sometimes pressing too hard causes mistakes. Don't come out too juiced up, all of that. Come out, just take care of business. Do what you do. As well, too, I think we need to see a greater emphasis on bringing pressure. We really do, because, look, Shador had plenty of time, all the time in the world. He could have he nickeled and dimed this defense to death. So I think you need to find a way to generate pressure. Oh my gosh, defensive coordinator's drawing a blank on my mind right now. Oh my gosh. It's drawing a blank to me right now, but it'll come to me. But yeah, no, defensively, FAMU needs to dial up pressure, bring the blitz, go right at them. There is no sitting back today, especially if it's going to be run heavy today. You got to send the house. You have to send the house, create havoc, force Albany State to make a mistake. And it's in a monsoon. Look, that ball is slippery on both sides. Honestly, this is a game. If it's raining that hard, I would heavily recommend you don't wear gloves today. And then one final thing today as well, too. Who would you like to see come in to play FAMU for the Orange Blossom Classic next year? Now, I know this is where my tweet got misinterpreted as saying, we need to tuck tail and find an inferior opponent. But again, this is what I say to that. And I get it. People misinterpret things on Twitter sometimes. What I'm saying is this. Jackson State has to come to Tallahassee next year. And I also said this too on Wednesday night. Jackson State has to come to Tallahassee next year. Who do you replace Jackson State with in the Orange Blossom Classic? Quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the team you're playing today, Albany State. I also wouldn't be surprised if, Southern Heritage Classic, rumor is that won't be back next year. I wouldn't be surprised if that game goes away. FAMU calls up Tennessee State saying, you know what, you want to do this? Let's do it. Or honestly, hey, Fort Valley, or if you bring in a SWAC opponent, somebody else. This game will be a good measuring stick for leadership in FAMU's locker room. I have no doubt Coach Simmons would put together a game plan. The question is, will the players be ready to execute? Honestly, I'm glad you said that, because I think, in my opinion, what happened was, the whole thing, the worrying of, is Isaiah Land and BJ Bowler going to be back, and will Cameron Coven be back, and will they win their appeal by the NCAA? I think a little bit of worry with that played a factor in the preparation, because then I think there's two aspects to it. You got to prepare as if you're not going to have those guys, but then you got to prepare the possibility of, these guys could be back. And then I think just all the emotions of the last 2 weeks finally caught up with them. So, I mean, that, and then like not being properly prepared, that can wear you down. Plus, I think, having been on the side that was in the sun, that did them no favors too. So I think all of that combined into one just made the pressure bust the pipe. I hope so, honestly. I really hope so. I'm hoping that he's back this week. I'm hoping that Eric Horn, the Iowa State transfer, is back as well. Both guys are heavily needed on that defensive front. I don't know if that's why we didn't see much pressure. Much pressure brought was because they're waiting on Jordan Moore and they're waiting on Eric Horn to come back. I hope that's not it. My thing is, you should have been sending pressure regardless. That way the defense at least looks a little bit faster when those two guys get back. But I don't know. I mean, but I will say that's one player I'm hoping, him and Eric Horn, that I'm hoping is back this week. Again, we're going to find out in a few minutes. We're about, 30 minutes away from kickoff. So we're going to find out soon if those two guys are back or not. But, like I was saying, though, I think you do got to bring in somebody like a Tennessee State, an Albany State, or, if A&T's not doing anything. I know this week in A&T, they're playing North Dakota State. If A&T's not busy this time next year, maybe, you call up North Fun A&T, see what they're doing, bring them to Miami. Albany State or Tennessee State, to be honest, for next year's Orange Blossom Classic, especially Tennessee State. The history between those two schools, plus with Albany State, I agree. I really think, because I was at the Tampa Classic in 2017, and I think the factor of the hurricane coming through Tampa and basically the state of Florida caused a lot of fans to not want to travel from Nashville down to Florida, because they didn't know what they were going to probably be coming into. So I think if that game had been played another year, like the following year in 2018, I think that game would have did a better number. So, and plus, of course, I think we all remember the Atlanta Football Classic between FAMU and Tennessee State. And again, that's why I think that, that game, if Tennessee State has to come to Miami, could do great numbers. Albany State too. Honestly, I think the monsoon will not do any favors as far as attendance today, but I wouldn't be opposed to having Albany State come in. I really wouldn't. Our kids had too much to battle the last 2 weeks, but hey, let's play better pass defense today. Oh yeah, I agree. Get up on the line and jam these guys, especially. And I saw the tape. I saw a highlight of that. Jackson State was inside the 20, and we're still playing, 5 yards off the ball. And I'm wondering, why are we doing that? Because, basic instinct as a defensive back says, inside the 20, we're jamming. And some type of pressure is coming from somewhere, hopefully in that front seven, or hopefully someone can win a matchup up front. And that never came. And the result you got was the final score. So I think, honestly, I'm hoping that we see a better display of pass defense today. I'm hoping we see a better display of run defense today, because FAMU still got gashed running too. But I agree with you. I think, the emotions of the past 2 weeks they just caught up with FAMU. And I think that, again, eventually that pressure busts the pipe, and you have to bounce back today in some way, shape, or form. And I'm confident that they will bounce back. I'm hoping that they will. Again, let's not hit the DEFCON 1 button yet. Let's back away from the nuclear football. Let's just back away from it. Calm down. Let's relax. It's over. What happened in Miami happened. Move on. You still got 9 games left you can make the most of. You got a bye week after this game. So you can still kind of, whatever kinks happened in this game, you can still work them out in the bye week. Come back against an Alabama State team that loaded up on transfers that you can still beat, I think. The possibilities are still there. And with that, I'm going to give you keys to victory. Now, and I guess I kind of got to do it 2 different ways. So I'll give you the one for if it's raining. If it's raining, stifling defense, suffocating. Suffocate the daylights out of Albany State. Hit them in the mouth early. Offensively, pound the rock. Go right at Albany State. Don't let up. And then third, of course, special teams matters. Punt protection. Block up front. Get the snap off clean. Because you didn't do that well last week. So those are my 3 keys to victory as far as if it's raining. If it's dry, get Musa into a flow early. Establish the run first to set up the pass. And then, of course, I'm going to still stick with it. Special teams. Make sure everybody's lined up properly. Get the snap off clean. Have the protection right up front so that way it doesn't lead to blocks. And with that, I'll go ahead and drop your score predictions. Y'all could have done that a long time ago, too. Score prediction for the day. I'm going to say FAMU 34, Albany State 14. I think the first half will be a battle. It's going to be, a fight for who can get leverage on who in this game. But I think eventually in the end, FAMU can pull away. And I think FAMU's going to get their first win of the season today. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with that 34-14. That might not be the number people are looking for, but I think that that's going to be the stepping stone in the right direction. Because, again, 9-2 is still possible. Just have to stay focused, stay dialed in, block out the dramas from the outside. Everything will take care of itself. But, yeah, if anybody else has any score predictions, they are more than welcome to drop them in the comment section on YouTube. Not sure why the comment section on Twitter is not working, but I think that's just the way the chip falls with StreamYard, unfortunately. Closer than expected at first, but we pull away 31-17. Yeah, I can get with that. I fully agree. So we're about in the same neighborhood. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up so I can get this HBCU Go app going and stuff. I'll be back after the game this week. I know I said last week I wouldn't be back afterwards. That was because of, we're in Miami. Everybody wants to go do something after the game. So I had to go take care of that. Plus, I don't think anybody really wanted to talk after that either. But yeah, I'll be back after this game. We'll talk about what went right, what went wrong, everything. We'll talk about what to look for going into the bye week and everything. So yeah, there's that. But, as always, folks, this was a pleasure. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. And, if you're headed to the game, stay safe out there. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you're heading to the game, be safe out there. Be mindful. If you're on your way to the game, be mindful the roads are slick, possibly. Again, I'm not 100% sure because I'm not a weatherman, and that's not my expertise. But, be safe going around out there. If there is lightning in the area, seek shelter, of course, like they always tell you to do. But as always, stay safe, stay blessed. We will see you after.